Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And tonight, gore, a Siamese twin in a basket, and terrible acting. Join us as we explore a Patreon-requested episode by Ray as we dive into Basket Case. I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
And I'm Jonathan.
Real quick, I want to talk about White Claw. I hate these things.
Is it because you're hungover?
I am absolutely hungover, and I'm so pissed right now. So much sugar.
Okay, but
not enough booze.
Okay, but that's kind of like, wait, how old are you?
24.
I feel like you should know better. The sugar heavy stuff.
I don't drink those things. So I was just like,
that's
I'll
true.
Have a couple.
You don't usually drink White Claw.
Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? I'll have a beer.
I'm surprised actually, because you usually go for like tall cans.
Oh, I know.
Tall cans are life.
Yeah, when I start my power violence project, and I'm just the big fat guy with the tall can, like that's when life.
Are you able to do the thing where you like lean back on the couch and you can sit the can right on your belly?
Not yet.
Not yet. This is the goal.
So today we're talking about Basket Case.
Mm-hmm.
Very older looking movie from the 80s.
Well,
1982.
The dude who made it is kind of a weird dude.
Yeah.
Frank Hentenryck, I think is how you say his last name.
Yeah.
He's only made exploitation films.
Oh, that's great.
Like, if you don't know who he is, this is the dude who made Frankenhooker.
Yo.
In 1990. So that's like your reference for who this guy is and what he's made. He also did the other Basket Case, and he also did one called Brain Damage, which is essentially in the same exploitation like genre. He also doesn't really like having his stuff called horror films.
Oh.
He thinks that horror films are more like mainstream shit.
I get
that
you.
Like mainstream media took over horror films and then started making it like there's rules and shit for it.
Then what exactly would you what does he consider the genre of his own work?
He considers it exploitation.
Oh, exploitation. Yeah. Duh.
I know for this one, he was like trying to make a horror film, but he felt like some areas because of the acting and like some of the other things were like pretty funny. So he also wanted to make it a comedy.
Yeah.
So there's some parts where he makes it more funny and some parts he makes it more dark, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also hard to do. We haven't talked about very many films that were able to do that. I think besides Krampus.
Yeah.
Which was a horror comedy. So.
Oh, there was also what is it? The Final Girls.
Yeah, that was also a horror
That's
comedy.
Also that's got some funny stuff in it.
We got to do Rubber one of these days.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh my god, that was one of those movies. I hated it the first time I watched it, and then I was like, my expectations are way off. Let me try rewatching it.
Let me readjust.
And then I rewatched it and was like, this is hilarious. I've had that happen with a few movies where I'm like expecting something else.
Right. Hell yeah. So I'm gonna get into production notes before we get into discussion. Basket Case was released in 1982. It's written and directed by Frank Henenlotter, produced by Edgar Levins, and then it stars three main characters: Kevin Van Hentenryck, Terry Susan Smith, and Beverly Bonner. And also, I know that this movie had a budget of $3,500 or $35,000.
Oh, I was like $3,500.
Okay,
damn.
So, this was a very low budget, and this was a movie that they like wanted to get made really well, and so they kind of just like had to cut corners. Do you know the main lobby of the like movie where he checks in?
Yeah,
that is a gored out elevator.
Oh, what?
Yeah, in a like abandoned hotel. Like they gored out the elevator and made it look like a set.
I mean, that's resourceful shit.
Yeah. The only couple props that they made for the movie was the puppet for Belial,
right.
The elevator, and like some other things. But when the kid brings out the money to pay, that was the entire movie's budget.
I mean, yeah.
That's so
I could
funny.
see that happening. It's also like you kind of end up laughing a little bit at it just because the movement is so jerky.
Right. Oh, you're talking about Belial?
Yeah.
Oh, when they have because they used the puppet,
yeah,
which was also it was manned by some people, but when they had to get into super tight corners, they used Frank Henenlotter's daughter to. She was like 10,
That's amazing.
to move the puppet around, which is super funny to me.
I love that directors do shit like that, where they're like, "Oh, you know what? My kid's on set. Do you want to get in like a costume?" And they just put him in the movie. And you're like, "Oh,
everyone's too big to fit in this small area. Let the 10-year-old do it."
Yeah.
That's probably a memorable moment for them when they got older.
Aww.
Like, yeah, I was on set for this wild movie. I also like that when you go online to look up the cast, there's like no links for anybody because they're just unknowns.
Yeah, they did this and maybe another one.
They
and
probably
that's
did
it.
a few exploitation films, but like other than that, they didn't really. Wikipedia didn't merit them to have their own page, which is fucked.
They probably stopped acting after that one.
To be honest, yeah.
I know another Easter egg was that so much of the crew was like very small. So I was talking about this earlier, but they made fake names in the credits for a lot of these things. And then a super funny area is that they have two like goof credits. They have one that says pilot,
Yeah.
and they have another one that says like what is it, like psychologist, on-site psychologist.
It'd be amazing to put in fake credits like that into movies and see if anybody notices. It's definitely something I want to do when I start making larger stuff, to just put in a credit for like the most random shit. Like we had a joke about it on when we did the short film because you were making toast.
Oh, the bread master.
Just to put something like that in there.
Yeah, bread master Murr.
And it would be kind of one of those quirky things that you
I
see
have
on
that
there.
great picture where I'm like doing the squat pose with 2 pieces of bread in my hand,
Yeah.
like perfectly toasted too, with the shades on.
It's because the beginning of the short film, the character's making peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So we had to have multiple pieces of toast so that he could just retry it. Again, there was like 8 or 9 sandwiches made.
Yeah,
until we got it.
I literally they were like, "Hey, make a couple." And I just made the whole case.
Literally the whole fucking like bread loaf got toasted. Then there was just a plate of toast sitting around. This is the vibe I get off of this movie, that they were just doing like fun shit. I'm sure there was people who put their credits as something else because they didn't think it would do well, and they were like, "I don't want to be really associated with this," but like it was kind of fun.
At that time, like, because you have like in the 80s, you had like the whole Italian horror movies coming out of like the 70s with like giallo films, and then you have the 80s starting with like slashers, and then like experimenting with retrying stuff from the 50s. This falls in a weird in between metaverse where it's like these are exploitation films, but they're not as raunchy as the 70s. They're more gory and more out there. Like, I don't know. We talked about the Toxic Avenger and shit, and like Class of Nukem High.
Yeah,
stuff that's like gross. Stuff
also,
that, like, throws you off.
This was shot on 16mm film.
That's sick.
Which is why it has that look.
The grainy look.
It is also very hard to make a bad film on 16mm film because that is like the original film that you'd want to use for like anything. So like you will find a humongous amount of movies that are made on 16mm film for that specific reason.
I gotta give this movie merit because it just drops you right in. There's no need for a big explanation.
Yeah, they were like, fuck the intro. You're in the middle of the shit as soon as you get dropped in.
We start with like a doctor being like stalked in his house. He's like, "I got a gun, I swear."
Oh god, the overacting is so funny in this movie too. "I've got a gun, I swear, I'll use it." Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's very funny.
Another fun overacting part is when he's drunk. He's like, "Yeah, I got the door," you know. I'm like, this is really bad, just acting right here. But yeah, the main character plays Wayne, who is like a normal kind of kid from upstate New York who's just renting a hotel. And then we learn more.
Yeah, oh yeah, we definitely learn more.
As far as the story
he's
goes,
also carrying a basket.
Yeah, so like he's got the basket. You don't know what the fuck is in it. As far as the story goes, pretty original. I haven't really seen anything else like this. It's even funnier that he like talks to it telepathically.
Well, he can't speak to Belial. Belial can only speak to him.
Yeah, he's like
so he like always responds out loud like, "No, I'm not abandoning you. I just like this girl."
I had to admit, I thought that I got a bad version of the movie because when he was talking to the basket, I was like, "There's no dialogue here. What is going on?"
Oh, you're just confused.
Yeah.
You know what that makes me think of when we watched the movie Cabin in the Woods, because Cabin in the Woods starts in the facility with them like on their way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I miss something? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I missed something in the beginning here. And like, it just goes right in. And then it scares the shit out of you with the title screen.
Yeah.
Once it comes out because it has a scream. This is what this felt like to me. Where I was like, oh, did I like miss the first half of this movie? Like when I downloaded it, I mean, when I bought it, I started watching it and I was like, damn, did I get like a cut up version of this? This is not.
Yeah, it like kind of like throws you off.
Went to go look up the plot and I was like, oh no, this is literally how it starts.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters, like Cabin in the Woods anyway. But yeah, but not to digress, but it's very loud. That opening shot is really loud in the theater, and it shocked the shit out of me.
Basket Case is a lot of fun because, like John said, it's an original idea. We don't really see like Siamese twin kind of stories in horror.
No, I think it's because at some point people were like low key kind of offensive. Can't really be making horror out of people's real life situation.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was like I don't know how to explain it. Like it didn't feel like it was offensive. It was just weird
because he legitimately loves his brother,
Also
and he was forced to have it taken away from him. Like he didn't want it to happen as a kid either, which the movie does go into it.
What grounds the story a lot for it being so wild was that he actually does have a lot of affection for his brother, and so this is kind of what goes through the main piece of the story, regardless of how crazy it gets. Which often makes movies like this better. That's why X is good.
Yeah.
X has like a plot line that has a lot to do with people's relationships to each other.
It's like we talked about this. It's like very cliche, but it also knows what it's trying to do.
Oh, definitely.
So like
people who make films like this, they're not trying to make like art. Art. No, they're not trying to make Oscar bait. Yeah, they're not trying to make like Oscar worthy shit, which even the Oscars is bullshit. But like,
which is the best part about exploitation films,
right?
And like just out there cinema in general, like the amount of like bad kung fu movies, the amount of bad cop movies.
I do like the funny quirkiness of the story as far as like how Belial is basically like your trickster character.
Yeah.
Like he steals like the girl's panties at some point. yeah. And he's just like he's just doing weird shit like that, and he's not even like that dangerous.
No, he's only dangerous if you fuck with him.
Yeah. To be honest, you kind of just wanted to chill with most of the people. But they were like, what the fuck is that? And they were like attacking him.
I think at some point in the movie, he wanted to get his bang on too.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, you couldn't have a movie like this without having like a fucking horny monster.
Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty standard.
You've seen Feast.
Yeah, I've seen it. Horny monsters is a thing, and it's been there since before.
But it's
80s.
Not just the people who made it. There's plenty of people out there who are like in their Google or what is it, the Pornhub search, looking up monsters. Like this is a thing.
We just looked up the like top searches for porn.
Yeah, if you want to go look at something funny, go look at I think it was Pornhub released in 2021 their most searched terms. And it's done by state as well, which is
super funny.
So it's a good time to go read it.
Hell yeah. This movie's like really quick. Like it's an hour and a half, so you kind of get through it.
An hour and a half is perfect for horror films. I think people who make horror films that are longer, the only reason why they're longer is because they're actually going into like some mental psychological horror, which is why like
or they're like building an atmosphere.
They have to build up the atmosphere. It's why the Babadook is longer. Because you have like this, you get immersed into the world.
Isn't Texas Chainsaw? Because that's like one of my like quintessential like favorite horror movies. Isn't it like
the original one was actually like an hour and a half?
Oh, was it actually? Just
I think so.
I thought it was closer to like 2.
Let me
maybe
see.
hour 40.
I think The Thing is an hour and 45.
Yeah.
Or hour 50.
Well, because it takes that time to introduce you to who everybody is and things like that, so you actually kind of get like. I mean, this movie and X both do it really well.
Yeah.
Where they both just kind of introduce you, kind of get a vibe for who the people are. They're not just like, cutouts.
One of my favorite characters is the guy that checks him into the hotel. Yeah. That dude's like the dude with like the suspenders and the bad mustache.
Yep.
He's just like
he's your like warning character at the beginning. The Cabin in the Woods makes fun of this. Remember when the guy who's at the gas station and he calls in and they're like laughing at him over. He's like, "Am I on speakerphone?" Like that scene. It's that dude.
There's so many like like B and C plots in this too.
There really is. There's a lot
Like
going on.
the revenge plot. We're tracking down the doctor that originally did
the
this.
original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was 83 minutes long.
Damn.
Yeah, so perfect
What do I know?
length for
What
what
do
they're
I know?
talking about. You might be thinking of the ones that got made later. Because
Maybe.
because they remade this movie like 4 times.
Really, it's not really the length that I praise that movie for. I praise it for
Yeah.
building up, kind of taking its time with the characters and kind of getting to know them a little bit before you start, hacking them all to pieces. It's nice to get to know who's dying,
This is true.
I gotta say, I love the idea that the older brother, the one that was the host body, goes through and he's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna stake the place out. We're gonna figure it out, and then when the time is right, I'll release Belial on him. And he's like always talking to his basket. I also love the fact where he's like, you want to get a fucking burger around here? He buys like 12 burgers.
Yeah.
Just like starts unloading them in the basket.
Belial just eats raw hot dogs and burgers.
Yeah. I love the sound effects that they got. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Or he
Somebody
just
had a lot of fun with that.
He just screams. Yeah.
I like the design of this monster, even though it's really silly.
Yeah, no, I really did enjoy the like the puppet and everything. Like even the parts that are clearly just like this is where the budget let out. Like they could not do anything.
Talking about
else
the
here.
claymation,
the
stop motion.
Yeah, the stop motion stuff and whatnot.
Well,
but
they're
even then, it's like it's kind of endearing a little bit. It's funny for sure.
Oh, it makes you laugh so hard the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time you see it. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what's he gonna do? Oh God!
He's
he's
trashing
clay
the
now.
place.
He's clay now.
He's clay now. It does have this weird effect when it changes over to it's basically like claymation. And you start seeing it move really awkward, and you're like, yes, this is like bringing me back to old school movies.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. They could have taken their time and done more shots to like make it more
Yeah, they
smooth.
didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck.
No.
That's the best part.
No.
They also got the B plot where he's trying to get laid, trying to get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's the other B plot. Yeah.
This also has your horror movie tropes. Like there had to be nudity at some point.
Of
In the
course.
film.
I was waiting for it.
So like
It's not
they actually take a good long while.
Yeah, I was expecting it like when they're running out in the field. I was like, okay, now it's just gonna get absolutely bonkers and crazy. But no, now he gets a psychic message and he has to leave. I'm
Yeah, and you're like, oh, all right.
like, okay, all right. all
Yeah, I
right.
feel like Belial could like telepathically feel that Wayne was horny. And was just like,
That's even funnier.
no, without me.
I hadn't considered that was a possibility.
right. That he just wants to be a part of it. All right,
man.
he's just
I'm not surprised that they wanted to like reattach.
Yeah, me neither.
They would force the doctors at gunpoint to reattach themselves.
right. Like if that wasn't a thing, it's kind of interesting that the movie, like how the movie ends anyway, where it ends with him like falling out of the building, landing, and his brother, like Belial, also dies in that allegedly, and then but they're in the same position they were when they were attached at the end of the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like, oh, we were together, but we're dead.
We were together the whole time.
Yeah.
I think one of the best parts too is because like the way that this movie was portrayed in the trailer, everyone's just like, "What's in the box, man? What's in the basket, bro?
What's in the basket?
What's in the basket?" And then like there's one part where he gets super drunk and like the sex worker is like, "What's in the basket, Wayne?" He's like, "It's my half brother that they removed from my body." And he's all,
It's something wild, and she's like, okay.
Oh, you're creeping me out. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so-
And then he's like, "Yeah," and then it goes into this like this flashback scene with a pretty good setup, honestly. Like the cabin that they all live in, and then them dealing with their dad, who's just like, "He's a freak. I would have rather had this thing die than my wife." And you're just like, "Fuck."
You're like,
That's
"Jeez."
fucked.
Yeah.
But then he changes his tune where he's like, "That's my son, and that thing is attached to my son. Separate them."
I did enjoy that Belial also had like crazy strong strength.
Oh yeah, he's fucking gnarly.
Like, was able to just toss chairs, fucking people. You're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, like there's like for the most part he just claws at their face, but I'm like, dude, there's so much pressure underneath that claw right there.
Yeah. I mean, he picks up, what is it? He picks up Wayne by his nuts, like, and lifts him up.
Just living in their own creative universe, which is why it's so funny. This also, I think, got a lot of attention from people as a cult classic film. It's why it's so popular amongst people who like exploitation films, and why there's like 2 more movies, because they got enough money for it. And they were like, fuck it, let's just keep making a crazy story. It's why, like, shit like Evil Bong has, like, 5 movies.
Oh, man.
Oh,
people just love weird shit like that. And this is one of those films that's endearing to a lot of people. There's so much merch.
For Basket Case?
Yeah, like, there's just so much stuff that you can find online. Because people bootleg stuff, too. So it's you just find a bunch of random shit people make.
Niche markets are just like that, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably could get an enamel pin of Belial.
Oh, definitely. That's got to be like one of the easiest things to find. If not that, you get like one of those weird like stuffed toys.
Oh no!
You probably get that of him. Can you imagine you go over to someone's house?
They just have this two
Belial's just
person
sitting on the couch. You're like, what the fuck?
It had like a little plush Belial.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
See, that's the thing. Like, I love collecting movie posters and DVDs, and I'm like, this is pretty good. Occasionally, I have like a figure. But you ever go to someone's house and they have like a wall of just fucking masks?
Yeah.
And you're just like, fuck, I'm not that obsessed.
That happened when I met this older lady, like a goth mom, basically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I went over to her house and I was like, holy shit, this whole wall
Yeah.
is DVDs, figures, posters.
Horror is one of those genres where
Yeah.
you get people obsessed with everything.
Well, it's because they make a big point to market every single aspect of the film because they know they need to get every bit of money that they could do. It's not like where, say, like a Marvel movie, they only ever release like a poster, and then they
got
do their
toys.
toy line. That's kind of it.
They got party supplies and stickers and
Comics.
pencils.
No. Marvel is guilty of this. Absolutely guilty of this.
I feel like they're not. Well, I guess you're right.
Pencils, posters, T-shirts.
But is that
Hulk
like their
hands.
official merch, or is that just people getting the licensing for it? They're not doing it themselves.
They're still. I mean, if they're licensing it, they're getting paid for it.
They are getting paid for it.
So technically, it is their
Oh, you're
IP
right, you're right,
still.
you're right.
Yo, bring
Not-
back the Hulk hands.
Yeah, bring back the whole game.
Those aren't being sold anymore?
Dude, they've been discontinued for like 20 years.
I wonder what. No, they haven't.
Dog,
I'm going to look that up right now. I feel like you're
Yeah.
lying.
yeah, you find an original Hulk hands, they go for thousands of dollars now in their box. Anyways, go back to Basket Case.
Nah, false.
What?
Incredible Smash Hands, Amazon, $27.99.
Let me see this. Okay, but the OGs. Okay.
So now you're getting specific about the edition. I thought they just weren't making them at all.
All right, I stand corrected. The internet made me false.
I guess there's many versions of it, but that just makes me think of, do you remember those weird moon boots?
Oh, moon shoes.
That had like the trampoline inside of there. The most dangerous shit you could have gotten for your kid, honestly, because they're going to go flying and they do that. But anyway, talking about merch, I found a bunch of just random Instagrams and websites that just sell stuff for this movie. And I was like, this is so funny because you could really just go online and find. It's like when you find those companies that make T-shirts, and then they get like the cease and desist letter, so it's only up for like a day.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just bought like a Suspiria long sleeve and short sleeve for like $50 from a website, and they're like only on sale for 72 hours. I'm like, awesome.
Dude, you know what happened the other day? I was wearing the gunshot wound shirt, and I was at Target, and the dude's like, yo, where'd you get your shirt? And I was like, I actually got it from a friend. He's like, can I like buy it? I'm like, there's like only 3 of them. And he's like, are you serious right now? He was like, oh man. He's like, but that's dope though. You have 1 of 3. And I was like, that's great. It was like an older white dude who was obviously like a punk.
Oh, that's sick.
So I was like, that's
damn.
cool,
I
dude.
gotta market and sell this design now.
Definitely. Did you have any favorite scenes then from this film?
Oh man, so there's that whole flashback scene that just seems so crazy to me. Like the entire time where you get to see the kid go through the withdrawal of his brother. They do a super botched surgery, and then like he's like, yeah, see, he's my normal kid. I thought one of the silliest moments was when the dad gets killed by some random buzzsaw in the middle of a cellar.
Yeah.
Like, we took care of it. They'll never know. They haven't figured out how he died at all. I'm like,
How do they not?
How do they?
Also, I love the part where he goes to the last doctor, and she's like, "Oh, so you're gonna raise my voice at me, huh?" And he's like, "You're getting hostile," and he's like, "Belial, go!" And it's like, she just like starts clamoring on him, and then she dies with a bunch of scalpels in her face.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
When he opens the door and she's just ah.
Yeah, that scream was so loud.
But just staring at the camera like they're just like, oh my god.
I always think about production moments for those where they're like, okay, I need you to stare directly into the camera and just fucking scream.
I thought the same thing when I saw that.
Yeah. Because you think about how do they capture these things, and this is one of those moments where they must have just, I don't know how nobody cracked like on stage. Like, everybody around them is just like trying not to laugh.
They're like, get the boom mic, put it over there.
They're like, don't put it right over her. Like, put it a little bit away, or else you're gonna spike the audio.
I thought it was a good kill, and I love how he just sneaks out and goes back to his hotel. Do you have a favorite scene?
Let's see, favorite scene from Basket Case. I keep wanting to call it Head Case for some reason.
I also have to say the director made it a point to make an original title. Basket Case is not a movie.
Yeah, you can't find anything else.
Yeah.
So when you Google it, it's just this.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody would want to use it after that. It's just kind of a funky name.
Yeah.
So
it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. Let's see. Favorite. There's a lot of funny ones in this one. I feel like that opening scene holds up pretty well. Keep in mind, I watched this movie at like 2:00 in the morning last night, so I'm trying. I'm trying here. Hey, John, name your favorite scene while I think about it.
So I feel like it's probably the first time you see the claymation. Like when you start seeing, just because it's so jarring to see, because previous to that, you just see like kind of a regular puppet.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden this fucker's moving and it's like really jumpy. And so I'm just like, this is so funny.
He's fucking tearing up the room.
Yeah,
too.
and he just goes ape shit. He like fucking destroys everything. And I'm like, yo, this is really funny. And so it was memorable because it was one of those moments where you appreciate what they've sort of made, even though it's like this movie isn't going to win any awards. Like,
oh, it's cheesy for a reason.
It's super cheesy. They knew what they were making. And I think the fact that they knew they were making something like this made it a lot of fun. And we've talked about movies like this before where you're like, this movie's a lot of fun. I'm thinking of like, what is the One Cut of the Dead?
One Cut of the Dead. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So much fun to make something like that.
That's a movie I'm like, dude, that deserves the Oscar.
But that one deserves an award, right? Yeah, that one was amazing.
I think of Brain Dead.
Also,
something like that.
Do you mean Dead Alive? No.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm just fucking kidding. It was because of countries, right? That the title was different.
They do that for every movie.
Yeah.
Like in this like exploitation genre.
Yeah.
I watch a YouTuber. I'll recommend them at the end of the episode.
We had another one that happened to, right? It was Demons.
Demons.
Had
yeah.
another name. What was the other name?
Damani.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was just like, oh yeah, this is Bordeaux Blood, also known as Bucket of Blood, also known as Bucket of Blood 3, and you're like, but it's not related to any of the other Blood series, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I love that. It's also probably because they do the naming like how we do random shit like that. We're like, what should we name it? Bucket of Blood. Yeah. And they're like, let's use that.
Yeah. It's like how Godzilla Raids Again is also what is it? It's like Gigantus, the fire monster.
Yes.
You're like, why?
Love it.
Okay. So it's one of my favorite overacting moments.
Yeah.
In this one, aside from the murdered nurse with all the scalpels in her face, which also I just died. But there's like, he goes to the doctor to have his scars looked at. He's the lady at the front is clearly flirting with him. And then he comes out and she's like, so what did the doctor say? Oh, I'm sure he was really excited about what he saw. Like, he's just, I don't know. It's really funny. And then they just have that exchange.
That was such an awkward scene too, because she's like, I want to go out with you. And he's like, oh, Okay. Like,
Thanks.
like,
Like, that's very nice.
I gotta say that character though that plays the second Doctor, the one that gets capped, that whole scene where Belial stalks him and just breaks his fucking door. I was like, that was a really good shot. I don't know. Some of the lighting in that scene was really good.
Yeah, I liked I liked the gore in that scene too. I thought they did the blood squirts and stuff really well.
I always want to be the blood squirt bottle guy or the pump.
Yeah.
Just off screen. They make fun of it in One Cut of the Dead where the dude's like blowing it through the hose.
Yeah.
Then you can be like, "That's me. I did that right there. That little squirt. That's me."
Oh, man.
Yeah, I have bad news about One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, geez, what?
There's an American-made version coming soon.
Yeah. Oh, you told us about this. They're going to do a remake of it. Remakes have been an interesting conversation in the last few years because of how many they've made. But we're now getting to a point where it seems like they might be giving up on a lot of remakes and are now making original content. But that's only because we have a new like cohort of horror directors who are making original shit.
Not only that, but it seems more like we're adapting horror or foreign stuff.
Yes.
Rather than saying, "Oh, hey, here's Pet Sematary 5."
Or
sorry, we're gonna call it Pet Sematary.
I love how much Stephen King hated Pet Sematary, the remake. He liked the original, but hated the remake.
I mean, the majority of remakes do not hold up.
No.
Same with reboots, but there are a few gems, and we've talked about that.
You know what I did watch? I watched the reboot of Old Boy that Spike Lee did.
How's that?
It's pretty good. It's not terrible, but nothing's ever going to be as good as the original.
It does some things better than the original, but also fails in some areas that the original excels in.
Yeah. They didn't fail to deliver on the terrible fucking ending.
No.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. For every Blade Runner 2049 and Candyman 2, there are 5 million other fucking Conjurings.
Man, the new Candyman was so fucking good.
Or like The Thing got rebooted in 2011 for no reason.
Technically, it was a prequel.
Prequel, but still not good.
It was all right. It wasn't that bad. To get the explanation for how they got there, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a follow-up of what they were doing. So you're kind of like, this is just more to the story.
Right. If there's one movie I do want to see be remade, it is what is that movie? The Fog.
Yeah.
Even though the Mist gets pretty fucking good on its own merit.
Yeah.
I would love to see a remake of The Fog. That was good.
I want to see some zombie pirates.
Yeah, no, that's a good Ghost Pirates. It's
know?
sick. Yeah.
I feel like we could do it really well.
That'd be
Like
dope.
with this technology now.
All right, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna write the remake.
But yeah.
That's all right.
Exciting, actually.
Well, I guess you guys have any like final thoughts?
We gotta rate it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this like a strong 7.
Yeah, I wanted to give it a 7 too, just because it's enjoyable to watch, and my expectations were about right when I went into.
They
watch
should be
it.
low.
Yeah. Don't put them like super high. But then again, I think people who watch stuff like this know.
Because it's B movie as hell, giving it an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
It gets a
Oh wait,
B.
if we're rating on a B movie scale, it's an 8.
Yeah, it's an 8. Absolutely.
You're not wrong. It
Yeah,
should
not
be
really.
adjusted slightly.
We have to have 2 scales: the art critic one, and then this is
the
a
very
B movie.
serious ones.
Yeah,
That's the other thing interesting with criticisms, though. You have to kind of consider, who is this movie made for? Did the artist succeed at what they were trying to do?
Yeah, a lot of film nowadays is critiqued by people who are assuming it was made for like super intellectuals all the time. So it's why most critics are fucking like dickbags. Like they're all the worst people. Anytime you go and look at reviews, like say like Rotten Tomatoes is the worst because they have like 200 or so critics who are all douchebags.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is because they're all academics. They're high academics who are like, I have my bachelor's and my master's, so like I have the best opinions on things.
Right.
And then they will usually shit on movies that people really love.
It always seems like the critics and the audience have 2 different agendas.
I love when it's the opposite, when critics love the movie and people hate it. And you're just like, what is the movie? And then you go and watch it.
I would say that's funny, but it happened to The Green Knight.
It did. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, that happened, and I think it was just because, like, it was just a weird, surreal movie. Like, there was a lot going... And it also assumes you know a lot about
Yeah,
Arthurian
it
legend.
that one kind of assumes that you know a little bit about like
Yeah.
the Green Knight's story and all of that, and maybe some Arthurian legend stuff. But
Man, what a good movie! I should go rewatch that.
I really liked the Green Knight.
When we talk about B movies and exploitation movies, they're made to be schlock. They're made to be enjoyed with multiple people, with some beers around, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just having a fun time watching stuff.
If you want a similar vibe, go watch all the movies from Takashi Miike,
Takashi Miike,
the guy who made like fucking hundreds of films at this point.
Yep.
Just go watch that, because
Yeah.
that's all he ever wants to do. He's like, I'm just gonna make whatever the hell comes into my mind,
Yeah.
and then you just enjoy.
We
it.
also have to give merit to Trauma for doing this for decades.
Fucking shit. So they've been running for like, I don't know, 50 plus years, I think, at this point.
Like, yeah, now.
And are still pretty successful.
I mean, I just showed you guys that music video that they
Yeah.
did with Sanguisuga Bog,
Yeah.
where they have the penis monsters.
What a fucking name.
Amazing.
That band name always gets me too, because I'm like, who came up with that?
It's like a Oni type of demon.
Yeah.
It's super sick though. But when we talk about exploitation movies, it has to be on a different scale because they're
Right.
made to be fun. We're having fun. We're not putting our art glasses on.
Right.
Yeah.
And we will talk about plenty of films that are just a lot of fun
Yeah.
to watch and be made.
It's good to have that mix because some people watch horror for all different kinds of reasons.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's been changing in recent days. I think now the ultimate search is for something that is truly scary and disturbing because we're so desensitized to things. And the other part of it is including genre blends. So psychological thrillers, things like that, even the horror comedy.
Mixing drama with horror sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, you're getting a lot of combos like that now.
It's not, you won't find too many that are just a horror slasher
Yeah.
film.
Right. At this point, you could assume that there's a dartboard and like, what other genre are we pairing this with?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Just because, well, I think that's in an effort to bring a lot more horror to mainstream in a more positive way, as opposed to it being like, oh, it's just violence. Because we had our whole era with that. We had, Saw, Turistas, and like Hostel, where like it was just about the torture. And then there was a really negative response to that. So I think now there's a shift to change the style of horror film that people are making.
With Basket Case, we have an original story about a Siamese twin that gets removed. And then we could even compare that to something like It Follows, where we talk about an STD.
Yeah, what
That
a
is
great
a
story to
horrifying
tell.
thing.
I just imagine people who made Basket Case, like, it'd be hilarious to be in the room when he pitched that idea. Because they're just like, and it has to be a group of people who are like open to a lot of different exploitation films. So they're like, yeah, that sounds dope. Let's do that.
I mean, did you guys ever have phases of types of horror movie? Like, I know I had a phase where I just watched things that were obnoxiously shocking. I had my slasher phase too, where I was exploring like the different slasher movies and stuff. And
I think when I was younger and I was first getting into taking film classes, I was like, let's find the most shocking things. And so, you go for the very typical ones that are like snuff films.
yeah, who are like, well, they're not exactly, but they're close.
They're so
to
close.
It. Yeah.
And so I was looking at that, and then I was like, this isn't really like, there isn't much here. And so then I shifted over to like other things. There was a long time, I think because of the early 2000s, where their psychological horror was a thing. So like you ended up watching stuff like The Sixth Sense, where like you get a really big vibe of like, oh, it isn't just about the like shock value. It's about like what mentally can happen in these films and what else scares you. And so, yeah, this is also attributed a lot to how audiences are responding.
Yeah.
So like vampire movies were a big thing for a little while
for a
there.
while.
Like you had vampires and werewolves. You had like Underworld, which have we even talked about an Underworld film?
Oh, we should.
It's on the schedule.
We should talk at least about the first one, because that's sort of like a really specific moment in film history where we were like, let's do vampire shit.
Yeah.
And like we did that, and like Blade was a thing. So like we had all of these movies coming out.
At this point, like with doing the podcast, we've been there and done that with a lot of like famous icons and famous symbols of horror. For me, like ever since I joined, it was always finding the niche kind of stuff.
Right.
So like stuff that has a cult following, but no one knows about it.
Yeah, because it's always cool to be on the in-group, right?
Yeah.
Of knowing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so successful for a lot of niche films, is that you're like, it's a collectible sort of thing. So like you get to have a piece of the collection and it's very limited. And so that's usually why the records, the
Right.
vinyl will sell so well, t-shirts, hats.
And it's also really good to see startup companies or companies that like excel in horror stuff going to these niche genres. I just saw a ad for like an entire Hatchet line.
Hell yeah.
Like
That's kind of dope.
yeah, like you have all these niche things that people like, and like they'll come forward and be vocal and say, you know what, we had Friday the 13th, we've had Freddy.
What's the Chainsaw Mall movie?
Oh, Chopping Mall.
Yeah,
Chopping Mall is great.
there's just a shit ton of merch for that.
Yeah, Chopping Mall is like
I think it's
super
because of the
subsidized.
costume for the killer in that one. I think it's just really iconic.
Yeah, the Killbots look great.
Yeah, also.
I will mention that every episode that we talked about in this podcast, every movie that we talked about, pretty much has an episode. So It Follows,
Yeah.
One Cut of the Dead, Dead Alive. So make sure to check out all that stuff because we do have in-depth analysis on those films as
We've
well.
got about 120 or so episodes at this point. So we've probably covered a good amount of what we mentioned, with the exception of a few that we'll eventually get to. We're just trying to cover some of the newer ones.
Yeah, our schedule is packed. We got a lot on our plate, but we're getting there.
And then the next time we'll be talking about X,
Yes.
which came out not too long ago.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Can't wait.
So do you want to know where you can get some good shirts?
Dude, I do want to know where I can get some good shirts.
Check out our Teespring, where you can get merch related to Bringing Down the Grindhouse. Hats, shirts, cups, mugs.
Dude, I can rep you guys.
Yeah. And while you're repping us, you might as well give us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Man,
let
you
us
know
how
what
you're
Get
doing.
we need some windbreakers.
Ooh, windbreakers could definitely
the
be
logo.
a thing.
Yeah.
But like the full art one with
Yeah.
us as like the 16-bit characters.
Yes.
It'd be dope.
I
to
dig
have.
that.
Yeah, no, I support that as well. But I mean, but we can do reviews. But is there any other way that I can support this podcast, Mark?
Oh, yeah. You can support us financially by checking out our Patreon.
Holy crap. What's the cost of that, though? I don't have a lot of money.
$2 a month.
$2 a month?
Yes.
Is there anything else that comes with that?
You get access to all our bonus content, as well as you could give us a recommendation, just like today for Basket Case, to review a movie of your choice.
Wow, that's a screaming deal.
Yeah.
Huh.
Not only that,
Check that out.
but it gets pushed on the calendar because you are a patron and you're supporting us.
Wow, that's such a solid setup you got there.
If you would like to support us in other ways, you could hang out with us on our public Discord,
Whoa.
where we have an invite and everything on our link tree, as well as stay in touch with us on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I almost say Google Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, I would highly recommend, just giving us a comment or joining the Discord. Talk to us about an earlier episode or an episode of your choice.
Yeah, tell us we did good. Tell us we did bad. Complain about things.
Debate with us. We
Yeah.
love to hear the community interaction.
Absolutely.
And then next week, we will be talking about X.
X.
So get ready for that because it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah. I think that's it for Basket Case.
All right, that's it for Basket
Thank
Case.
you, Ray, for suggesting this on the Patreon.
Yeah, and for supporting us for as long as you have. You're one of the long-term ones right
Yeah,
now.
we love you.
Yeah, love you. All right, let's walk out.
Yeah.
You got your shoes?
Yeah.
You got your coat?
Yep.
All right, let's do everything. Also, oh yeah, Justine's at work, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We
Yeah,
didn't
that's
even
right.
mention it.
We didn't even the patriarchy at work.
Oh,
Anyway, so we miss you, Justine.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
Oh, Jonathan, thank you.
Here, do the Belial scream.
Ah!